Why do MMOs suck now? I mean, I've been playing MMOs since I was 4. Literally, I used to sit on my dad's lap and watch him play EverQuest. Now, when I actually played the game, it was basically just a walking simulator. I wasn't able to conceptualize things like combat or leveling up, but it's safe to say that this genre has had an effect on my life. I spent most of my youth playing RuneScape and World of Warcraft with my dad and my friends, and I feel like a lot of other kids my age at the time were playing like Halo and Call of Duty, which I definitely did too, but me and my friend group, we mostly just played RuneScape. But real quick, to support the channel, here's a quick word from today's sponsor. And today's sponsor is definitely one you're going to want to check out, GameMaker. If you've ever dreamed of making your own game, I know I certainly have, GameMaker is where it's at. This is an easy-to-use, all-in-one game development platform designed for both beginners and professionals. It offers a free version for non-commercial use, and it allows exports to all non-console platforms. Everything you need to create a game is right here. Whether you're a first-time coder or a pro, it's super approachable. For example, their GML visual system lets you code visually, which makes game development way less intimidating. I've been messing around with it, and trust me, it's a blast to get started. GameMaker is responsible for a ton of titles that you've probably heard of. Even Undertale was primarily developed using GameMaker. On top of all of that, you can find over 100 free and in-depth tutorials on the website, as well as directly in the program. These range from beginner difficulty to intermediate and even advanced, so you can sort of progress along with the tutorials as you get better and better. If you guys want to help me out, and if you're interested in making games, make sure to download GameMaker today using my link in the description and start building some games. Seriously, it's never too late to start learning something new. Thanks again to GameMaker, but back then we didn't really have social media, and most of us didn't have cell phones, so we actually communicated through RuneScape messages. Like, we would make plans to hang out in real life through RuneScape. You have to understand, this was a totally novel experience at the time. The internet was still pretty new, and the idea of being able to talk to anyone across the entire world was still kind of just setting in. We kind of take that for granted now. It's interesting watching my almost 4-year-old son interact with technology. It's so different than how it was when I was growing up. Like, people don't talk enough about how absolutely mind-blowing it was when the touchscreen was invented. Like, before the iPhone and the iPod Touch, we had kind of plasticky, sort of gimmicky touchscreens that you might have interacted with, but once you actually got your hands on an iPod Touch, it was insane. You had a calculator, a flashlight, something that could play music and access the internet all in your pocket, and it worked with this glass-like amazing touchscreen. It completely changed my world and the world in general. Anyway, I digress. This video is supposed to be about MMOs, but it's important to note that the change of technology, I think, is what has brought us to this point, or at least it's part of what has brought us to this point. And what is this point, you might ask? Well, I mean, so far, 2025 has had one big MMO release, Dune Awakening. And while I enjoyed Dune, it's kind of like not even really completely an MMO. Like, it's sort of an MMO. And that's our big release this year. And also, the public reception for Dune actually hasn't been all that great. And then, what else is there? I mean, we've seen tons of early access games and betas and test servers, and most of them are coming up a little short. And while there are some hidden gems out there for sure, the majority of what we've seen so far are pretty much just broken promises. Games that are far from being ready, that are publicly declaring that they're going to be ready this year, and then lo and behold, they're pushed back a whole other year. Anyone with eyes can tell that this genre right now currently is in probably one of its worst states, and it's honestly kind of sad. We also have this massive Korean MMO problem that I feel like nobody is really talking about. The fact that the majority of the new MMOs are coming from South Korea, and they are all so exhaustingly similar. I know we have these interviews that you can find on YouTube showing all these different developers from apparently different studios with all these different plans and promises, but it honestly feels like a psyop at this point. Like, I'm about to put on my tinfoil hat. If they're all coming from different studios, why do they all look, feel, play, and monetize the exact same way with the same sort of marketing schemes and bait and switch tactics? Like, am I crazy, or could Bless, Throne and Liberty, Aeon, Chrono Odyssey, Bellator's, they're all the same game? If you showed me screenshots from all of those different games at random points in the game and you presented them to me and told me to tell you which game was which screenshot from, I don't think I would accurately be able to do that despite having played all of those and being an MMO content creator for a living. Also, anytime you call out these Korean MMOs, there's a ton of people in the comments who rush to their defense, who decide to attack you even personally because of your opinion about these Korean MMOs that are all the same, which I'm mentally preparing for in this video in case they somehow stumble across this as well. So yeah, MMOs are kind of trash right now. The genre is not looking good. It's hemorrhaging players Outside of the same 4 or 5 titles that hold on to the vast majority of the market share and have for the past decade, like RuneScape and World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy and Guild Wars 2 and ESO and maybe BDO, outside of that, it's the same people who are playing these games and have for literally years that are still playing them. Like, we recently saw this massive exodus of World of Warcraft players to RuneScape, which is great. I'm happy that they're widening their horizons, they're trying something new, that's all awesome, but at the end of the day, those are MMO players becoming another MMO player. It's not new players entering the genre, it's just them switching games within the genre. The real problem is in acquiring new players for the genre, and to be completely honest, I don't think that's happening anymore. And the really blackpilling thought here is that even if the quote-unquote perfect MMO were made, I don't know if that's bringing new players to the genre. I think that MMOs might just be an outdated concept. Now, really, hear me out. I've had this concept or theory or idea for a video I've wanted to make for a long time, but I've never really fleshed it out enough. But basically, something that I've noticed while playing MMOs for my channel for the past 3 years, where I've played a ton of different games, in that some of the new games that are coming out are trying to do everything. Which makes sense in an MMO. It's an open, persistent world that you need to fill with tons of systems and ideas and concepts and content to fill up every part of the entire world, but I'm starting to see a bit of a shift. Before, an MMO was sort of defined. You have your classes and your skills or your levels with an ability bar, and there's crafting and there's gathering. And while a game like World of Warcraft might have an eat function, and then a game like DayZ or Rust might also have an eat function, they would operate differently. For example, in a game like DayZ or Rust, if you didn't eat, you would get a hunger debuff that would eventually kill you. Whereas in World of Warcraft, even though it also has an eat function, it's different because it just heals you. But now we see games like Dune, where we seem to be mixing these survival game elements with the MMO elements. Then another good example might be to take a look at games like Diablo or Path of Exile, where it's like, what exactly genre are you trying to fit in? Obviously, they are ARPGs, but then in some areas they're multiplayer and they're trying to act like an MMO with trading and a player economy, and then in other areas they're like sectioned off 4-player instances or dungeon crawlers. And then zooming out even further, we saw the roguelite boom in the middle of the 2010s, that had a massive effect on MMOs because every MMO tried to put roguelite systems into their games. Like we saw Torghast in World of Warcraft, and even RuneScape 3 had a version called Shattered Worlds. Really, what I'm trying to say is it just seems like the genre has homogenized to the point that it's kind of losing its identity. Every time I hear about some new MMO, it's like, okay, so is it going to be A, Korean, B, a survival game, C, a WoW clone, or D, something cutesy that claims it's going to be different, but it's actually the exact same as every other game that came before it? So that's my first point as to why MMOs are feeling pretty bad these days. They all tend to copy each other without seeing too much originality, and they're all searching for the next new thing that's going to be this next new system that they're then all going to copy from each other again. And what we really want to see are MMOs that do a couple of things really well, instead of MMOs that are trying to do everything mediocre. So, point 2, and I touched on this earlier with the changing technology, but this has massively impacted player behavior over the past 15 to 20 years. Like I said, me and my friends used to literally use MMOs as social media prior to social media existing. We used to gossip about what happened at school or make plans to hang out. Like, RuneScape literally acted as my cell phone before I actually got a cell phone. And I think this is the point where people are getting really hung up, developers especially, on this quote-unquote social experience, that every MMO needs to be this social experience. And that's why time and time again we see these new MMOs release and they have these bold claims of not holding your hand and requiring group play, and you need to be in a group to do the hardest content, and they talk about this like it's a sort of sales pitch as to why you should play their MMO. But really what they're trying to hint at is that they're trying to make the game feel like games felt in the middle of the 2000s when people used games as social media and cell phones. They were a more social experience strictly because it was one of the easiest ways to talk to other people. Sure, I enjoy doing group content and I enjoy accomplishing goals with a team of other players, and some of these games have definitely come up with some good ways of accomplishing that and creating more player interaction, but that early to mid 2000s social MMO, that will never exist again. Our technology has far outpaced it to the point where people don't even use the in-game social features anymore because it's so much easier to go on Discord and it's 10 times more convenient. So, to be honest, people who say that we need to return to the social experience of an MMO, I understand your sentiment, but I just think that's impossible in the current day and age. Now, of course, monetization. You can't make a why MMOs are failing in 2025 video without talking about the biggest and most damning evidence, monetization. In fact, this isn't just why MMOs are failing, it's why the entire experience of using the internet or being online is degrading. It's not as good of an experience as it used to be. I mean, honestly, take a step back and look around you. Disregarding inflation and the economy, the marketplace for everything has basically entirely shifted to a subscription-based model. So much so that we have apps that you can pay a subscription fee for that will tell you which other subscription fees you have that you might have forgot about so you can cancel them. So you have a subscription fee to help you remember to cancel other subscription fees. That's a thing. Not to mention the 5 streaming sites you need to watch the show you want and the VPN you have to pay for in order to watch the show in the right country. It's insane. And I mean, if you really want to take it even farther, you can take a step back even further and realize that the fact that our entire wealth is indicated by just a number on an app on our touchscreen on our phone is crazy. Like, we devalue the process of spending money. Back in the day, you used to have physical cash and you would give that to someone and you would see that you have less money in your wallet. And like psychologically, that had a bigger effect on you and you were probably less likely to spend money and more likely to save. But now it's just a number go down in an app. They've gamified your money. And I mean, to go even further, just take a look at the streaming environment right now. We have people pretending to gamble with fake money on fake websites where they win fake money in order to convince the viewer to spend their real money, where their bank account's number goes down and then the gambling site's bank account number goes up. It's honestly pretty dystopian, and to tie this back into MMOs, I think we've seen it have a similar effect. We know that some of these developers have worked directly alongside gambling companies and gambling psychologists in order to figure out the best methods to extract money from their users. And they've been very, very successful with fake currencies to further obfuscate the fact that you're spending real money, or slot machine systems that light up and activate in a way your lizard brain just can't resist. Or the age-old creating a problem and selling the solution, involving everything from inventory space to creating purposely tedious content because there's a profit incentive for the developers to coerce the player to purchase skips or solutions. All in all, pretty depressing stuff, and I definitely don't want to make this video to just make everyone depressed, but I did want a place to document what I'm seeing and what I'm observing in the space around me, and maybe we can look back on this in the future and hopefully we've made some progress. So in the MMO space, what do we have to look forward to? Well, I'm not sure. I'm not gonna lie, Chrono Odyssey kind of broke me. I was so excited for that game. Its trailers were amazing, and when it came out and it was barely functioning, yeah, it was just a major letdown. I was so sad. And one thing we do know for sure is that the old MMOs are going to stay pretty good. I don't see RuneScape or WoW not sticking around for quite a long time, even still. But what do we have to look forward to beyond that? Ghost, Ashes, the Riot MMO, maybe? I don't know. If you want my honest opinion, I think we need a switch up. I think we need something so innovative that if I were to come up with a solution for it, I'd probably be a millionaire. We need something to completely shake up, not just like the MMO genre, but all of gaming as a whole. I don't know what that looks like, I don't know what to expect, but that's what I think is going to have to happen if we ever want to see another golden age of MMOs. And I'm not even sure if it has to be MMOs in particular, because really what we're chasing is that feeling. Every time you start up a new MMO, there's a specific feeling you're looking for. It's that feeling when you first played RuneScape, or you first played WoW, or you first played Guild Wars. That's what we're looking for. And if someone finds it, that will be lightning in a bottle. It will sell very well. Anyway, weird video for me. Got a little deep, a little personal. Let me know what you guys think of this, and if it's something you'd like to see more of in the future. I don't know, I just felt like kind of ranting today. Anyway, likes, comments, subs, those always help, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Later.